Thanks for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. You can find us wherever you find podcasts or listen to music. When you have an opportunity, please give us a 5-star review, write a little note, tell us how we're doing. We really appreciate it. It helps us keep this thing going. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us at Facebook at Hidden Tracks. Instagram is at HiddenTracks99, and if you'd like to send in submissions or talk to us or give us any feedback about what we're doing, our email is myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. Hey guys, I'm here this week with Riley Schmelzer. Went through that a little bit. He's from the cool new project, No Signal, and welcome to the show, Riley. And while we're going to be on the subject soon, genre labeling, I'm going to let you do that for yourself.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, first of all. In terms of genre, I guess I would just say alternative. Try to keep it vague. There's a lot of people who would say other things, but honestly, most genres they give me kind of make me want to take a bath. So I just say alternative.
Well, there's so many different labels nowadays, and that's where it gets. What's funny is years and years ago, everyone steered away from alternative, and now everything can kind of be encompassed by that one word when it comes to music, and people are just saying, yeah, it's alternative, whether it's pop or punk or emo or screamo. Everybody's like, it's alternative.
Exactly, yeah, and I think that's kind of why I aim towards that label a little bit, because I don't even fully know the answer to that question. So again, just keep it as vague as possible, just to give somebody an answer.
So what was your initial idea with this project and putting it together and starting to create some music?
I had kind of started dabbling with music when I was 13 years old. I kind of started taking it a bit more seriously. And I ended up writing like 4 songs. I kind of followed a storyline, and I released that under a name No Signal, which I just got. I was literally walking around Pearl Street Mall in Boulder, and I saw like a display screen, and it said No Signal, and I was like, that'd be a cool band name. And I think kind of what attracted me to the idea, like in the first place, is kind of a cliche, like cheesy reasoning, but like kind of more of a calling to do it, and like hoping and like working towards being able to almost like change the world with music and such, because I guess growing up with like all the pop culture and like all of this like really easy to listen to bubblegum type music that didn't really mean too much, I was kind of inspired to bring experiential music back, and I guess that's one of my main intentions with this project.
Well, I mean, you brought up changing the world, and I've said it plenty of times, but music is the universal language throughout the world, and
Absolutely,
it's such a unifier. And I mean, that experimental and trying to bring stuff back. I mean, in the era that you grew up with, it was really pop just ran the world. It was pop and Kanye and Drake. I mean, that's what last 15 years has been. So, I mean, how did you go about finding stuff to pull from and learn to create that sound, since what you're creating isn't really something that was popular for you?
I mean, I think a lot of what's responsible for, honestly, I don't fully understand what's responsible for like the reasoning behind my music taste, and like just the reasons in general why I want to do this, more of like the core reasoning. I think I definitely grew up in a creative house. I recall the first song like I ever heard being a Van Halen song.
Great start.
Fantastic start, actually. Yeah, it was one of those like Let Alone tracks where it was just Van Halen, kind of doing his thing on the guitar. like one of those like interludes.
Yeah.
And I heard that, and I definitely felt something. And I was very young, very, very young. So I think I was like maybe 4 or 5. Um, and I think kind of just a buildup of more. It's definitely hard to put into words, but I think just the way that I grew up, um, and like the music that I was exposed to, which definitely wasn't all that cookie cutter bullshit that is always on the radio nowadays. It was more like rock oriented and more um, blues oriented actually as well. And I think I kind of just learned to love it because of that.
Now, I mean, at 5 years old and hearing a Van Halen song, and not knowing much of what it means, to progress into something that, as you grew older, and started to get into music, were you forced into anything such as piano lessons or something in school, in band, or how did you just start to progress from going from Van Halen to going to where you'll eventually end up?
Um, I wasn't forced into anything. Actually, my parents were open to me doing whatever I wanted to do, and I was a pretty, you know, stereotypical kid. When I was younger, my parents asked me what I wanted to do. I was like, I want to be a firefighter, or something kind of simple like that. But I think I, I've never had a lesson. I never had lessons as a kid. Um, I think it was my discovery of like rock and metal music that kind of got me into wanting to do things like that, because I only started listening to that stuff again when I was like 13. Um, like in eighth grade.
Yeah. Now,
Before that,
is that when you started to find your own music?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've always been kind of, if this is what you mean, I've always kind of been like in charge of the music that I listen to. My parents have always been accepting. Before the rock and metal, I was like huge on like Lil Wayne. Um, he was my favorite artist ever. And even to this day, I'll admit it, I know basically his entire discography, um, up until that point. But I think it was like Slipknot. There's some kid in eighth grade. He was like, "Yo, listen to this band Slipknot and like Korn." And I listened to them, and I was like, "Oh shit, this is dope." Because I used to hate metal. I used to hate rock. I used to have just an egregious passion towards it, just dislike towards anything in that genre at all. And that has definitely changed.
Now, when you find something like that and your eyes get opened up and you want to start creating, I mean, how big of a role was music playing in your life up until that point?
And to that point, music wasn't really a thing for me. Um, I mean, I like, when I was 7, just growing up in the household that I did, there was like a karaoke machine, and I would play piano a lot, and I would play drums and guitar a lot, and I would sing a lot too. Um, and according to my, very biased parents, I was good at it. um, but it was never like a thing, I just did it for fun, but I had different passions and different ideas in mind for what I wanted to continue doing.
Now, when was the first time outside of the biased parents that you performed in front of a stranger?
No Signal. I mean, I've never done a show.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely like sang in front of friends, and they're like people who I don't know before. After some convincing, and I think when I was a bit younger, I think I was 15 or 16, I put out a little solo project that I ended up deleting from all platforms. Either and I had a little show for like 20 people who were all like friends and stuff, as kind of like a look, I have an album. Um, but that was even after the No Signal stuff had started. I think like absolutely am planning on very much priding like this project in like really fantastic shows. Um, and if we're gonna do it, we got to do it right. So we're not necessarily waiting, but we're just planning for things like that, like for the very close future.
Do you remember the first show that you ever saw?
Yes. Okay, so there's actually two answers to this, which sounds weird. It's a binary situation. Technically, my first show was the Jonas Brothers.
Okay.
But I don't count that for moral reasons.
Well, it's that's your first live experience of music, right? Your first concert show.
Yeah, and I didn't have a choice, because I was very, very young. But it was at the Pepsi Center in Denver, or they call it the Ball Arena now. But my first willing show, like show that I wanted to go to, that I actually went to, was Slipknot.
Okay. Yeah, big difference. Hey, listen, I'm kind of in the same boat. My first one was Kenny Rogers.
Oh, nice.
And then my first one that I wanted to go to,
yeah,
it might have been G Love and the Special Sauce. That might have been who it was. But yeah, I mean, your first show really is hardly ever specifically for you.
Exactly. Yeah, I was a child during the Jonas Brothers. And I didn't know what was going on. I actually fell asleep. We were very close to the stage, and I did fall asleep. That was my thing. Is any concerts my parents took me to when I was that age, I would always fall asleep. I think maybe it was just I fall asleep very easily to loud noise, to just almost stimulation. Which kind of goes to why Slipknot is on my bed playlist.
I can only imagine falling asleep to Slipknot.
Oh, it's fantastic. Literally last night, I was listening to the Gray Chapter like all the way through, and I fell asleep maybe on the third song.
Wow. I mean, Slipknot pumps me up. It doesn't put me down. Like that's crazy.
It does both for me. It just depends on the mood,
Now, when you started getting in the music and you started creating, what was the burgeoning force that just said, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to start creating music, and that's what I want to do. And not having a lesson, not having a playbook in front of you. How did you start to progress to do that and start to create and put things together? Was it pulling from things you were listening to and saying, oh, I hear that, I can do that? Or was it just like, I want to try to do my own thing and figure it out as I go?
Honestly, I think it's neither. It's pretty ineffable, kind of like the I guess the fortitudes that were present as I was kind of progressing as a musician. I really just started like picking up the guitar and just figuring shit out. I remember like learning my first guitar solo, and just hearing stuff and wanting to learn it, I guess. I was never necessarily inspired. And that kind of plays into my thing now, is that when I discovered a lot of bands that I listen to now, when I was a lot younger, like 14 or 15, I kept just writing their songs. I kept just stealing their stuff and being like, well, shit, I just wrote a Tool song. That's not good. Or like, like I kept doing that. And eventually there was an epiphany, where I realized that all of these huge bands are where they are because they sound like nobody else, because they've developed their own sound and they're their own thing, and they're unique. You listen to this band and you're like, that is that band. Their genre is that band. And that was hugely inspirational to me, is to not be inspired, which is kind of an odd paradox. So like, I guess all of my inspirations that you could hear in the music are as subconscious as they could be. And I think like, like I find it disappointing that the latter is what pop culture is deemed like the most reliable or consistent route to success. Like because, which I, for the most part, consider to kind of be, not to just purely shit talk, but like really empty and like really shallow music that kind of relies on like pretty simple emotions. And again, I'm not trying to like disparage this realm of music or the people that listen to it and create it, because there's definitely exceptions in my book as well.
There definitely are.
That, there
definitely are.
Absolutely.
And I I understand. It's hard for me not to, and
in previous episodes, I've stated, there are extremely talented people who fall into that shallow pop realm. For me, I bring her up all the time, but Katy Perry, when I heard her acoustic, or MTV Unplugged, I was like, oh, that bitch is fucking talented as
Yeah, you're like, oh
hell.
shit, like
Yeah.
like you're like, okay, all right. I know she knows how to make money, but she's also, she also actually has some talent under her skin and some gift and some ability. And I talk about this girl all the time, Sia. I think, just not only with her past in like writing discographies for like really famous artists, that when she kind of straight off on her own career, the song like the songwriting is, in my opinion, is really good. And whether there's producers or, I mean, I don't know if there's, I hope there's not any ghostwriters for her music, but her voice is also fantastic. And I just pick up a little bit more authenticity from her versus like, I don't know, Doja Cat.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I think that there's just this whole different realm of music that is so misunderstood, and just so not just the opposite of what is popular nowadays, which is, I mean, to me, just very disappointing. And what I want to try to do, I'm not trying to sound like anything, but what I am luckily picking up on what I'm doing is that I'm kind of creating an indelible mix between the two, like have some songs that can really be played on the radio, but then those people who are like, ooh, like pretty music, they go in and they listen to an album of mine and they're like, what the fuck is this? They're confused because it's like this like more complex, more conceptual, kind of experiential realm of music that I'm trying to embrace mostly. You know what I mean?
Well, sometimes it's too complicated for somebody to just not hear a hook and a dance note and just be okay with it. I mean, I think that's a lot of what popular music is. And the word pop, it basically just means accessible to anybody. It could be for your mom, your sister, it's acceptable and accessible. So
Exactly.
that's where it comes from. And I mean, you brought up a good point with like bands like Tool, and I mean, back in the day, you look at Rage Against the Machine and like all these bands that people have heard of and know of. It's kind of like they were their own genre. They were their own band. They created their own thing, and there was nothing else like it. Anything that tried to be like it just never made it. And, and every band that people know, it's usually either because of a singer's voice or the tone that the band puts out, because it's just so different.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's that, I guess my inspirations aren't from specific groups, but more so those groups' ability to be their own thing.
Yeah, I think we're missing that in today's world too, is for bands to try to be their own thing, where it's, they try to follow a formula that they see works.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just an echo chamber.
And what happens is too, like some of those bands are extremely talented and can do great things, but they don't make it as big as the person they're trying to be, and then they give up on music instead of trying to be themselves, that they could have created something fucking masterful, and they just
Exactly. Or it's like they start out themselves in something beautiful and masterful and like groundbreaking, and then they sell out and they become this, money making machine, just, with the same exact songs over and over and over again. I think
that's a big thing. That's the retread, where people find a formula and they stick to it, and they never grow. And it's like, you can see there's bands. I always point to like Radiohead. No two albums are alike.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and granted, they've afforded themselves the ability to be able to say, I'm going to make whatever the fuck I want and I don't care, to change every single time a new album comes out, which is awesome. But at the same time, there's other bands who are trying to get started and they can't do that because they don't have the ability of someone saying, no, listen, we're going to sign you to a record label.
And you're going to make this.
Yeah, you're going to put out your first album. If it doesn't do the numbers that we want, which it never will, the next 3 albums that we have you signed for, you will make it our way. And then that's just how it goes.
Yeah. Fuck record deals. Fuck record deals. I could say that 10 times over and it would just feel equally as legitimate.
Well, I think the good part too about today's where we are in the world of music is you don't need that record label
No, you don't.
to make things. So it's great, and it's also for me, a music lover and someone who seeks out new stuff constantly. It's a great thing that there's so much music being put out there, but it's also a bad thing because there's so much bad music that covers up the good music that's out there, and you gotta separate it, and it's long and tedious and hard to do it. So
Exactly. Yeah, and my intentions with No Signal are, if you had 5 hours, then it could be a little more clear with my plans. Um with just everything that I want to do with this project. I'm literally like, I'm actually looking at it right now just for fun. I have this like 40-page document um on Google just with everything, just the plans. Everything up to like the 7th album. Like half of the songs are written, you know.
yeah, you're
But
just mapping it out.
I probably won't even use any of them, because it's the new stuff. It's I'm just mapping it out, trying to make it a bit more clear, because when all those ideas were coming to my head, it was so overstimulating and it was stressful. And I wrote it down so anybody who works directly on the team of No Signal can actually, so they can understand the intentions behind this, that this isn't something simple like, ooh, I want to create a band, I want to make good music. It's so much more than the music. It's like combining all of these different aspects of art and just creating this beautiful entity. That's what I label like
Well,
No Signal as.
I've had the pleasure of being able to listen to what you have coming out, and to me, my opinion, which matters fucking nothing at all, but listening to it, it kind of sounds like you're telling a story, and it's one song to the next, and the story's continuing, and it's building up. It's kind of like, what I heard so far is one of those things where it's like, okay, so here's the character building in a movie.
Well, yeah. Every project that No Signal puts out is conceptual. So it is a story. And when I say No Signal, I mean, right now I'm still writing and recording everything myself. But I do have members, and as this EP comes out in February, we are branding ourselves as a band now. Like, I think it's also important that this isn't just seen as me, even though like everything up until the next release has been, and it still will be. I'm still kind of like leading it, but I'm gonna have other voices in there, like other opinions and such, to
Well,
kind
it
of add up
started with
to,
your
like,
vision. So, of course, as things progress and grow to get big, that's what happens. It starts to take on that life, and you're like, well, I have my plan now. I just need some soldiers with me, and
yeah, so
sometimes
people to
their
help me
input can
achieve that
change it.
vision.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because, again, I'm going to express this a lot, no matter how cheesy or cliche it sounds. Like, No Signal isn't just a band. It's like an entity. Like, I think No Signal owns us. We don't own No Signal. Like, and of course I have the plans to, like, be, one of the biggest bands in the world, and to bring back intelligent music, and like show that stories and concepts like can be put into, easy ears and such like that, and just change the history of music and art. Um, at the same time, it's also just like, to some people, it's just going to be a band. And, there's like this difficult medium between like being unique and heavy, but also like being groundbreaking enough to like win a Grammy, and, like show people that things like this can work. And when they do work, it's like the best.
Yeah, it's trying to. I mean, the hardest part, when it comes to stuff, is trying to convince people. One of my things is I, teach a little bit, for my professional real life.
Yeah.
aspect of what I do. And one of the things that I always start out telling people is the hardest part of my job is teaching you to care. And then everything else after that comes. But it's the same thing with music. It is trying to teach people to care it's so hard. And it's literally, you just look for that one person that you're connecting with and that your music can connect with and be like, okay, there's the foundation. There's that one person in the room. And then we'll build off of that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, of course the fans are, without the fans, then there's no band, there's no signal. Um but no matter what happens, I'm still going to do it. Um Not only because I feel like there's a point to be made, but also like it's my passion, it's what it's what I really want to do, and if it goes well, then in 40 years it'll all make sense. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Is that everything is going to come back full circle, because that's the way that I've planned the music to be, in the videos and the concepts, and just the attitude of the band in general. When I retire and we release our last song or something, which will be kind of a set in stone thing, there will be a last, and everybody will know that. Um, they'll listen to it and they'll be like, "Oh my god, like there was actually an intention, like from day one. It all
That's
makes sense now. Like everything connects now."
Well, it's a cool thing that you're putting this all together and you're laying out your timeline and what you're doing. And I mean, speaking about fans, I mean, one of my questions is, if you met a stranger and you told them that you create music, what song of yours would you play for them that you would say best describes what No Signal is, that you want them to hear to get into it?
Oh god. I mean, we have cookie cutter songs and we have the exact opposite. But I guess, yeah, in if you're asking purely for my opinion, I think like
Yeah, if I met you on the street and you telling me you create music, and I'm a huge music lover that you don't know has a show that just talks about music constantly, what song would you play for me that said, "All right, here, listen to this song, and hopefully you get it from there"?
something, probably Todd, the bonus track off of my album first and only album out right now, Seed of Dreams. Um because it's kind of hinting at my plans, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It talks a little bit, and that I don't want to say too much, but that Todd will be a consistent thing throughout No Signal.
All right. Now,
Um
is that, would you say, I mean, to date with the music that you've created, would you say that's your favorite song that you've written so far, or is there another song that you can so far say, like, okay, this is where I think is the best I've done, and I'm going to build off of this?
I think, oh wow. I think maybe like the trap, the non-acoustic version, um the normal version is what I call it. Is probably my favorite, just because I think it combines like pretty like easy to the ear elements while still kind of having a heavy tone to it. Um and then that's a really hard question. I don't think about that too often.
Well,
Like
that's what
what is
I'm here to invoke those
yeah.
thoughts for you. And when it comes to creating something, it's like I've always said, pick your favorite child. I mean, that's essentially what that question is. Can you pick your favorite child right now?
Yeah.
Because that's what they are. Your
I
songs
mean,
are your children.
yeah, I guess say I have a high sperm count because I'm going to have a lot of them. Like it's hard to choose, because I know what the ones that are going to come out in 10, 20 years sound like already,
I mean,
So
I gotta say, your vision and I guess, I mean, it won't go after saying sperm, but your spunk towards what you're looking to do, I mean, is very admirable. And how do you think you're going to keep your passion alive? Because listen, there's bumps in the road that sometimes bring people down. How are you going to maintain your thoughts into saying, listen, I wrote a playbook and I'm following it and nothing's going to stop me?
The idea that I don't have to follow it. I wrote it down. I was 14. Like all of these plans came together literally in that year. And they just keep on expanding now, and things change. Things grow, and so far, I'm still kind of sticking with it. But like the sound of album 2 and the sound of album 3, that's all going to stay the same. But as I grow and as I kind of get more into this world, into this pretty harsh world of music, I know what I have to do and I know what I don't have to do. And like right now, there's I don't have to do anything to kind of keep that passion alive, because it just stays. It never goes away. It's what I think about before I go to sleep and what I think about when I wake up. And I think one of those big bumps in the road, it's like some of those bumps in the road are more just things outside of music, like girlfriends or like friends, just like almost irrelevant things that just channel straight back into my music. I don't write love songs. I don't really write songs about girls. But like when I do, because I bet I will, it all just goes, it all just goes into No Signal, like No Signal. It kind of just feels like a magnet, and all of my experiences are the other side of that magnet. It just attracts and it builds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you look at, I'll look at it as it's like the change jar on your dresser. Doesn't matter if it's a penny, a nickel, a dime, a quarter, silver dollar piece, it goes in that change jar.
Exactly.
So anytime it comes into your pocket and a thought, whether it's friends or loved ones, and you just pull it out of your pocket, you put it in that change jar, and it's always there for when you're ready to cash it in.
Exactly. And like the only thing that I do follow is, I wrote it all down, and I was like, logically, if everything goes the way that I need it to go, then it will work. And that sounds egocentric, and that makes me sound like I know how the industry works and stuff like that. That's not really what I'm focusing on.
No, I'm just going to call you a douche right now for saying you have it figured out. That's such an early part.
Yeah. You're like, fuck you, 14 years old. You don't know shit, man. What are you, a freshman in high school? Yeah, go do your homework. I think it's more so just like how mind blowing I want it to be. Like never seen before. Just so. I guess complex. Again, it's just such another. It's hard to express this without sounding like I have a god complex. Because I'm only expressing how much I love it and how much I know, like how well I know it can do if it goes well. Like in the first place.
You keep speaking about the experience and how this whole thing is going to be an experience. And is there a moment in your life that has been encapsulated by music that is just a favorite musical memory of yours, that you just, whether it's how you listen to music and you kind of create your own music videos in your head, but like, is there a moment in time where music played a huge part and something that happened in your life that you remember?
I mean, how do I say, every second of every day? I think it like music is kind of like a narration. At least in my perception, that there's a song that goes with anything that is happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And obviously there's more like detrimental moments, like harder moments and sadder moments, and there's happier moments and such. But nothing really sticks out to me because it's all just it's just always there.
Yeah, and music is this huge thing that I think it's if you've ever gone to a party without music, it was probably the most boring party you've ever been to in your life. Whether it's just on in the background, it's, it plays such a huge integral part. There's a reason why every single vehicle, the number one thing when vehicles were being made that was going to be put in there was a radio. And it still to this day just keeps being put in there because it is such a part of everyone's day. But I think a lot of people take it for granted that it's just there.
Yeah, that it's just sound and it's easy and it's nice and simple to listen to. And, I keep touching on that. And I'm not disparaging that realm of, easy to listen to music, because I too fall victim to that, because sometimes, yeah, it is nice. But it can also I love challenging music. You listen to it and you're like, what the fuck is going on? I love all of those bands that kind of fall under that prog genre.
Yeah.
Because it's like there's not just sad or happy or horny or angry. It's just there's so much.
And there's bands that invoke, one for me, Explosions in the Sky is one of those bands that it's an experience, and what they do in every song is, I think every song is extremely thought provoking. Also, because there's no lyrics there's no words.
Yeah.
So you're creating it on your own too, which I think is a pretty awesome, aspect to music. And, they fall into an area of where some people are like, yeah, I don't get it. There's no singing, so I can't listen to it. But it's like, well, it's more intelligent than that. Like,
yeah,
trying to explain to someone is the hardest thing in the world to do when you're like, yeah, it's more complicated than that. Like it's amazing.
It's just more intelligent. You wouldn't understand, when you say something like that, they're like, well, fuck you. Now I definitely don't want to listen to it.
Yeah.
and that's the hardest part about it, is that like one of the things that I want to do is bring back intelligent music. But if I say that to anybody, they're going to be like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be like, all right, yeah, fair. Because there's really no justifying how douchey it sounds when something like that is said, but it's still true.
Yeah, well, you can't hide from it, and I think the hardest part nowadays is everybody tries to sugarcoat what they're going to say to somebody, because the truth doesn't set you free; it just pisses someone off.
Well, yeah, exactly, and especially in like the days of cancel culture, like you really got to be careful what you're saying. And I've seen things like as simple as what I just said, like be taken so out of context, like on social media platforms like TikTok and even like Instagram, where people just get their lives destroyed because they say something that other people don't agree with.
Well, then it's going to be hard for me to tell you that I'm taking that last snippet and that's what I'm going to put on Instagram of what you said about music. So, listen, we're starting right away.
Yeah, no, do it. Yeah, do it. I'm a spawn of the digital age. This is what I got to deal with.
Now, speaking about bands and how they create music, is there do you have a band that, since you started listening to them, that has just like never let you down with their music, that you've just never been disappointed?
Tool.
All right.
Tool. Yeah. Tool and Haken.
Okay.
They're gorgeous. They are fantastic. And Muse also. Those three bands,
perfectionists too.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Yeah, and like they're the modern building blocks of my, like they're not the first, like the building blocks of my like musical liking is like Slipknot and Korn and like all these bands that I would say I sound nothing alike. And there's different phases, there's different eras of me, and there will be different. I literally classify No Signal by phases. You'll see every single Instagram post, and it'll say like hashtag phase 1 or hashtag phase 2. I think, that's more of an example. Like I think right now at this very moment, like for the past couple years, Tool has always been the number one for me. But like Haken and Muse and these more like kind of progressive bands. And what I love about Muse so much is they can write a stadium song, but then you kind of dive a little deeper into their albums and you'll find like a 13-minute long, like concept song, a part of a concept record, and you're like, oh shit, like they can do both. And they can even throw that kind of complexity into their really popular songs, because it's just not normal music.
Yeah.
It's just different. There's feeling, and there's emotion, and there's passion, and it's written by them, which is just an absolute refresher in this day. Is when you hear a song and you're like, I wonder which 7 people who aren't credited wrote this. Like actually wrote this.
Yeah. And I mean, when it comes to bands, for me, Tool, they played a huge part in my life. And, when I date myself, that the first time I saw Tool was on third stage at Lollapalooza in 91 or 92.
Wow.
And I was just taken aback by looking at them and just the stage presence on this small little stage at Lollapalooza. And it was crazy. And I was like, wow. And I guess I didn't even really hear the music. I was just like, dude's got a fucking chainsaw on stage, and there's like pigs squealing in the music in the back. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is probably the coolest and craziest thing I've ever seen. And then a couple months later, I got to see him in a small venue in New York City, Roseland Ballroom. Rest in peace, Roseland Ballroom, one of the greatest venues ever. And I got to experience the music, and I was like, fuck. And this is
these
like,
are musicians.
Yeah, like right as Undertow is hitting the airwaves, I was like, holy shit, this is going to change the world.
Yep. And it did.
It did. I mean, it completely did. And I think a lot of it had to do with was the visual aspect of their videos that people were just like so brought into. But when I basically saw that on the live show, like, is what their music video was. Yeah. And it was fucking amazing. And then I was like, fuck. And then listening to all their stuff, and then hearing Maynard talk about everything, and just how perfectionist that everyone is. And he's got to go do his own thing, because he's like, I don't have, like, when they're done, they'll call me to come put lyrics to it, because I can't be a part of their process, because everything has to be 100% perfect.
They're perfectionists.
Before we even think about recording something.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I love that. It's they put effort into their music, and that is also refreshing.
Yeah.
And even when they put out Fear Inoculum, and I watched them win a Grammy for it, and Danny Carey was like, I'm surprised people still listen to this. Like, I didn't know people had the capability of listening to 13-minute long songs anymore.
Well, it's true. It's that thing that people search for, and that's, a lot of what the Grammys are is just hook songs. They're 3 minutes long, 3.5 minutes long, got a couple hooks, and you're on to the next song. And and next thing you know, your 38-minute to 42-minute album is over.
Yeah, and it's songs. Like, oh well, I gained nothing from this.
Yeah.
Like I didn't learn, I didn't feel, I didn't understand, I didn't question. I didn't feel anything. And that's my biggest problem is I mean, again, I don't like shitting on specific artists, but I guess, like, I was listening to a Lil Nas album to see what all the hype was about. And okay, there's 2 songs on it that from a production standpoint are dope as fuck. I'll admit it. Great. However, at the end of that album, I was like, I basically just didn't listen to an album. You know? Like it's all a bunch of nice, like, ear stuff, and it makes me feel happy, and it makes me feel hype. But there was no, I don't even know how to word it. It's so ineffable for me at this point, because I'm just so lost in this different world. It's just simple. I hate to say it.
Yeah, but sometimes simple can be good, and
exactly,
and I'm okay with it. And one of my things always is, a good song's a good song, and it doesn't matter who's fucking doing it. But if there's a good song, like, I'll tell somebody, be like, oh yeah, that I don't want to admit it, but that fucking Bieber track, it's
dope,
fucking good. Like, okay, yeah. But don't try to sell me on him. Don't try to sell me on him.
Yeah,
like, there's a song, and I'm not going to deny it. It's a good fucking song.
Like when you can
Yes.
admit that it's a good song, then you're an artist.
Yeah.
You know, like when you can admit it, because you know that for the art, not for your ego, not for yourself, it's for the art. You can understand that this is a good piece of music. And there's 2 songs on that. I think it's called Montero, that Lil Nas record, that are great. I actually listen to them. You know, they're in my liked songs. I jam out to those songs. And I hate to admit it, but it's what has to be done.
Yeah, no. Well, it's hard to admit when you feel so passionately against a certain portion of things. Listen, I'm the biggest music fucking snob piece of shit out there. But at the same time, you know, and it took years of this, but for me to just be like, yeah, no, that's I don't know. It's a great fucking song, but let's go on to the next song. Like, it's a great song. I admit it. I've listened to it more than once. It's a great song, but don't sell me on, dude. But you got to hear the earlier shit. And I'm like, no, let's just stop. Let me enjoy what I'm not supposed to enjoy, but I'm saying I do, and move on.
Yeah. I think that's a nice way to go about it, especially just with the constant like intake of this new music. You know, like hundreds of songs come out a day.
It's insane.
Yeah, there is a lot.
60,000 songs hit Spotify a day.
60. Okay, so not
60,
hundreds.
60,000 songs get uploaded to Spotify every day.
Yeah. Jeez.
Who the fucking listen to it all?
Yeah. No, well, nobody. you know, like that's a lot of songs. Sorry, I think I just cut out for a second. That's a lot of fucking music. And you know, of course, you know, I guess the most like almost disappointing to me is that you can only have your perception of music, because that's just the curse of being a subjective species.
Yeah.
But like I crave to hear it all. And I crave to not have knowledge on it all, but just to hear it. You know? Like if that you know, again, you know, it's so hard to put it into words because too many words are going into my head at once when I talk about music like this. So, you know, when it comes out, I kind of just sound like I'm smoking crack.
It's okay.
But like even a crackhead would probably be able to word it a little better than me. I used to be able to, I swear to God, but it's just all become such a clusterfuck.
Well, it's hard because you're extremely passionate about something, and it's the same thing as me. I'm lucky that I get to do this on a weekly basis and get all my verbal diarrhea about music out.
Yeah, just get it out, you know, because like, you know, I'm shaking right now, like physically, just thinking about like, oh my God, it's just so much love for this. And I can't wait for it to go the way that I want it to go. Because I swear to God, like no matter how much I say it in words, it's going to be so much more impactful when people see what I've been talking about when I say that I have gargantuan plans.
Well, that's awesome. And I mean, you're talking about the experience. We talked about music being in the moment and how you kind of have an end game to this and a final song that you're going to put out for it. And my question to you is going to be, you have 5 minutes left to live. A meteor's hitting the earth. And you have to listen to one song. You have 5 minutes left. You have to listen to one song. What song would you listen to?
Any song I'd want to listen to would be over 5 minutes.
It doesn't. Well, that's fine, but you got.
Okay, so if I were like just one song.
Yeah, listen, I understand it could change every day, but like right now, meteor's about to crash in the earth. You got to listen to one song.
It would be Pneuma by Tool. Actually, just kidding. It would be Baby by Justin Bieber.
There it is. I knew it was going to come out.
Nah, I'm lying to myself. Baby by Justin Bieber is what I want to hear as I'm dying. Because it feels exactly the same either way when that song is on. So
yeah, impending doom.
Exactly. No, not impending doom. Literally the process of dying. Like the worst and most painful way possible, too.
All right. I like the way you're taking this.
No, but I think I think Pneuma by Tool. That song has had a massive impact on me. I literally have the symbol for Numa tattooed on my wrist. Call me a fanboy because I have that symbol on my
Fanboy.
wrist.
All right.
And
I called you fanboy.
done. Thanks for having me. Bye. Not just
Yeah.
kidding.
Listen, I have music. I have band tattoos on me, so don't worry about it.
And it's not anything related to Tool. It's specifically for the word Numa. And let me just, I'm looking, I know exactly what it means, but if I word it, then it won't make sense. Yeah. Okay. So it's a philosophical term according to the Oxford Dictionary. The vital spirit, soul, or creative force of a person. Super cheesy, super cliche, but I've always thought I've grown up
it's
with
cool, fucking weirdo. That's fine. That's
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
fanboy.
I'm
Go
a
ahead.
musician. I'm supposed to be an idiot. And I've grown up with people comparing themselves to successful people, saying, "I'm not creative, and I have nothing in me, and I am incapable of succeeding." And
Well, of course you are. You just said you're not. So I mean that that's how, if people perceive themselves that way, then that's exactly who they'll be.
Exactly. And I know it's not my job to change that, but I'm always like, everybody has a gift, everybody has a talent, everybody has a passion. You just have to find it. And it's obviously that's easier said than done, especially because
Some
I
people
grew up.
aren't willing to put in the work to find it, or they just think it should be there.
Exactly. And like even now, like and this is a bit more of an honest thing that I'm saying here that I don't express all too much. Like no signal in my book is not successful. I'll never think we're successful. It's goal after goal after goal after goal. But we're not like, I'm not like walking the streets and being recognized. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And already I'm losing friends, and I'm experiencing these people being like, I compare myself to you all the time because you're actually doing something, and I can never feel accomplished because of what you're doing. And I'm like, what the fuck? First of all, why would you say that to me? Like, that's not really my fault.
Yeah.
But also, it's like, you can absolutely do something about this. Just do something.
Well, and that's the hardest thing. I don't think a lot of people have really learned to do something, because a lot of the times when you have to do something, it's out of your normal routine or what you have
Exactly.
laid out for you. And I mean, listen, it took me 2.5 years to get this fucking thing off the ground because I was scared. And but here I am, season 3, and still fucking kicking and going every week. And
hell yeah,
it was basically like, holy shit, I can do this. What was I so afraid of? But
you got to start from somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. You can only start from the first step forward, and that's the hardest step. But
exactly. And I guess for me, like, it was almost a little easier because I never perceived it as the first step. I just did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I guess that kind of came with age and being like a literally stupid kid, like just so stupid, that I was just like, ooh, I'm gonna do it. And then it grows as time. It grows with time. But of course, when I hear friends being like, I can't feel good about myself when you're doing so much more than me, I'm like, what do you want me to say to that?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm
how
sorry? Like,
yeah, do you need me to apologize for what I'm doing? And like, no hate to them, I guess, but like, holy shit, like, just let that inspire you or something.
Yeah.
Like in high school, obviously high school, I had a really good high school was great for me, but also it still sucked a lot because of the people. Toxic teenagers. It's the worst thing in the world. Those negative, like those negative words and the negative things that were coming out of those people directed towards me only inspired me to do better. And again, it's not my job to change people's perception into feeling that way about negative things. But like, holy shit, that's a lot to put on somebody.
Well, I mean, the toughest times of your life, and I mean, listen, once you get a job and the family and everything, when you look back, you're like, oh, it wasn't that bad. But honestly, it's still, I think, I've been through tons of shit. I was in the military overseas. I've done tons of things, but I look back at high school and be like, yeah, that was still fucking tough as fucking hell, having to deal with all the different people all the time, no one ever being on the same page, no one, like, and it was, it's an experience that those who survive can go on to do great things, as long as through that entire thing you figured out who you were, not who
yeah,
someone else
exactly.
was.
And yeah, perfectly worded. I think in like also, during high school, like I never like went home and was like, I am being bullied. Like maybe like once or twice that happened, but like when I sit here in this chair now, and if I had the opportunity to go back, I would say fuck no. I am myself now because of that experience. I'm not trying to like do that again. I guess. You know what I mean?
Well, now you're just a bully in a different way. You're just a bully who believes in himself and is willing to do what you're going to do, while other people get pissed off at you for doing what you've wanted to do.
Yeah, the only person I bully is myself.
Yeah.
And I a lot of people are like, you should love yourself, you should be nice to yourself. Personally, that's not how I thrive. It's it's always like no matter what, I always feel like I've never done enough, and I always feel like there's more that I could be doing and that I could always do better. Every single project I put out, I hate it for like a year and a half. and until I realize that there's nothing I can do about it, and then I learn to love it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, you brought up something earlier that you would put music out into the world and then you pulled it back.
Yes.
So there's one thing that I personally, I will tell you, I hate that.
Yeah.
Because at the time you were willing to put it out there.
Indeed.
Okay. So it deserves to still be out there. And because somebody could have found it and attached to it, and then you took it back from them. So you created a gift, and then because you weren't happy about it, you took it back. Now I'm here to tell you that you are an artist, and once you put your art into the world, it is no longer yours. It doesn't belong to you.
You don't take it back.
So you can't take it back. So I would say, I would pressure you and be a bully and say, you need to put that shit back out there, because somebody could have loved it and now it's gone forever. And you don't know that.
The plan with this, so it was a solo record under my name. And not only was
you still have a name, even though you're No Signal, you still have a name.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The plan was that I just hated it that much. I was disappointed and I hated it, but that shouldn't be any justification. It's going to be on the next album. It's going to be redone and remastered. Same songs, just better. And honestly, what I hate to say is that if anybody listened to that, trust me here, if anybody listened to that and was like, oh, this is good, they don't have a good taste in music.
No, you have to send it to me.
No, I was like 14, man.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I have friends who created music at 14. They're now 44 and they're still creating music, and the shit that they had, they still put it out there for people to hear, because
it's a progression. You got
to learn from
grow.
It. Yeah, you got to learn from it, and it's not something that you weren't proud of later on after you did it, but the moment you did it and you put it out there, you were pretty proud of it because you put it out there. So you don't ever take feelings back. It's one of those things that
it's just inhuman.
Yeah, it's hard. I do it all the time. I had an episode recently. I recorded, the sound quality was shit, and when it comes down to it, it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. If someone fucking calls me out because the sound recording from the other person was not great, well, sorry, I did everything I could to make it as best as possible for you to listen to it. And that's it. On to the next episode.
Yeah.
You don't have to listen to it. That's my big thing, is it's there, but you don't have to listen to it.
Exactly. And honestly, I think one of my other justifications for getting rid of that project was, it had like 50 streams. And that was likely my mother. You know what I mean?
Someone still loved it. Hey, listen, you don't know. There could have been that one person who, it changed something in them. You don't know that. And that's also a problem on that one person that it changed, because they didn't tell you. That's why I think it's very important to tell people how much their creation means.
Yeah. And, I think at this point, like, that's why I'm not getting rid of my first EP from, it was released in 2018 on Spotify, but it's from like 2017. Again, I was 14 and I hate it. I hate it with a passion. All the songs on it, I think are bad, but it's there and there's nothing I can do about it. And there's nothing I will do about it because they're there and they have numbers and people like it. And I don't want to take that away from them. If they get up in the morning and they listen to one of those songs, like that would be so shitty. Like if I were to experience something like that, like a small artist, they have a song that I love and they just pulled it off of all platforms.
Mm-hmm.
That would be pretty devastating.
Yep.
And I did kind of go through that process when I deleted. I almost said the name when I deleted that project. But then again, I was like, well, I am going to put these songs into the next album, into album 2.
Right.
And also that might be a confusing thing for a lot of people. No Signal has one album. One. That is it. Circle in the Sky and Shadow People are EPs.
Hey, listen, you got more music coming, and all it is to give people something to look forward to. So
exactly, yeah. And I think I've expressed how very specific I am about the way that I release these. It's a very specific order with like EP album single kind of deal. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So although Spotify says that these EPs are albums, they are not.
Spotify can say whatever the fuck they want.
Spotify, dude, I went online and I looked up like 21 Pilots genre, and the first one was classic rock. So I don't believe in genre labels. Like, no, like really?
Well, listen, that's what's hard. That's why at the beginning I had to ask because when I first started this, I'd be like, this pop punk. They're like, we're sort of like emo, and I'm like, all right, dude, like let's go down subgenres for the rest of our fucking lives because there's so many of them.
No Signal is industrial hip hop.
Yeah, there it is. So
yeah, with a little bit of hyper pop influences.
Perfect. Yeah, everybody knows what they want.
Exactly. So yeah, you want to listen to like 100 Gex? Nah. Listen to No Signal.
Well, we're coming in on our time, so I'd like to give you this opportunity right now, Riley, to tell everybody how to find, like, shoot out all your handles right now for everybody to find all your stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Just No Signal on Spotify. We're the only No Signal with streams, so it's a little easy. And the Instagram tag, a little bit difficult right now. It's 4no3 signal 2. No space, no caps. Sadly, we don't have No Signal because somebody else has that account. And yeah, that's where you can find us.
Well, awesome. We got one more question for you here. We're into our final segment. It's called our weekly threes. It's 3 things you're listening to right now that you'd like people to check out. 3 things that I'm listening to.
Sorry, my mic keeps cutting out.
That's all right.
There's this really small band called No Signal.
Okay.
They're super dope. I'm listening to a lot of John Mayer. Check out John Mayer. And then of terms on like the smaller side of things, I'm listening to a lot of Architects. They're like this metalcore band from the UK. Mm-hmm. Super dope, just so tight. They're fantastic.
Yeah.
And Porcupine Tree.
Oh, old school.
Yeah. I love Porcupine Tree.
Awesome. Good 3. My 3 for this week. There's a band. It's spelled Hawaii, but it's pronounced Hawaii. They're a California pop rock band. They have an EP called Working All Night. That's what I've been listening to. Next, Young in the City, a Washington-based band featuring a popular person, if people know, Noah Gunderson is one of his bands. Really good. The name of the album, it's basically Roman numerals 2, so you look it up that way. And then last but not least, I'm listening to The Night Game. It is a self-titled album solo project of Martin, from the singer of Boys Like Girls. It's very 80s new wave power pop alt rock. It's pretty fucking cool. So those are my 3 for this week.
Sweet. I wrote those down.
Riley, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate what you're doing with your artistry, and we look forward to new things to come. And we got an EP coming out soon, so we're hyped for that. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was fantastic speaking with you.
Us as well. So everyone out there in land, you know what to do next. Go out, listen to No Signal, and have a great fucking time.
Thanks again for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HiddenTracks99. Also, send all your submissions myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Tune in next week. You may find your new favorite band, and don't forget to go out and have a great fucking time.